So, well, maybe first it's very important that you guys introduce yourself, like shortly, with your names and your projects. I think there is a microphone for you.
It's working?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm Andrea Bonfini, I come from Italy. I study in fine art school in Italy. And I worked in the past as a fashion designer, a graphic designer for a big international fashion company. And when I moved here in 2015, I opened my fashion label, and it's called Fade Out Label. And it's a zero waste upcycling brand.
Great, thank you, Andrea.
Good evening, I'm Daniel Kroh. Oops, I'm much louder. That's natural. I do upcycling fashion since 2006, and I'm specialized in workwear. So I upcycle old workwear. That's it. Since 2006. I started with an apprenticeship as a tailor, and then I moved to Berlin and studied here in Berlin fashion design. And I saw somebody in the audience from the university.
Hi everyone. Can you hear? Yeah. Hi. My name is Arianna, and I do different things in the space of circular textiles. I also started as an upcycling designer, right now I'm managing different projects. One of them is called Green Fashion Tours. And I'm a chairwoman of the NGO Circular Berlin, where I also coordinate all the activities regarding textiles. We just launched a new platform called the Again Guide. I'm going to talk about it later, I guess, a little bit more. And yes, I'm also like a consultant for manufacturers, especially in Southeast Asia, working with the agency called Closed Loop Fashion. So I happen to visit a lot of companies and manufacturers, also in Germany. I'm an auditor for sustainable textile standards. So I'm kind of different spaces, and looking forward to the conversation today.
Thank you, Arianna.
Hi, I'm Hannah, and I got into the field of sustainability, I think something like 10 years ago after seeing working for a ready-to-wear company, and I went to China for a production and saw the things that we see in the documentaries, and that was it for me. I was like, okay, I've seen enough, let's find other solutions. And this is when I started to get into it and started my first small lab brand, Exorcise Berlin, and we just started something like a year ago, a new project, a circular sweater project that is basically going into just the sweater, the most basic piece of clothing, and getting it completely circular, and through a lot of collaborations and other aspects which we'll talk more about, I'm sure. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all for being here. So in this panel we have upcycling involving in different ways as part of systems. In more or less, we'll say in your project, upcycling is a part of it, and then we also have it as a core activity in your project. So this is what I like, and I would like to go through the different aspects and your personal views, because I think this is very rich for somebody starting a brand, starting a project that is 100% about upcycling or is involving upcycling at some point of the system. But I think the personal experience is very rich and very interesting for another person. So first, I will start with a very essential question for Andrea, which is what does upcycling means to you? What values you think are at the core of upcycling, and what can we learn from upcycling? Okay. More or less. Too many questions.
No, I will. You okay? Yes, I will ask. I will speak just about my experience because this is more interesting maybe for you. Sorry for me, it's really hard to speak in front of everybody. This is the first time in life because I always refuse to speak in front of people. I love the backstage, and so my atelier is my safe space. But okay, I'll try to give my best. For me, upcycling is a sort of alchemy. It's like an alchemist process when you transform some waste, some trash material into a new object with a different value, and you need with your creativity. For me, are meaning three different things. One is ethic, another one is economic, another one is aesthetic or artist. Ethic because, as I said, I did work for 7 years inside that denim international fashion company. It was the biggest fashion denim company in Italy. And then I had the opportunity to see how much water, chemical products, rubbish you need to produce denim. With my eyes, I saw exactly how much material was accumulated in the warehouses. And believe me, the corridors was more long than than factories. All of these materials, of course, was ready to go directly to the landfill. And my question was, why is not possible to reuse this material? Why is not possible to make something with this material? Also because the world is full of production. We don't need more. Maybe we need something more interesting. And also, this aspect stimulated a lot my creativity. This was my first question about ethical. And I think if you ask upcycling, sustainable, is not, you can be just sustainable about fashion, but about, it's like a mission, it's your life. This point comes from, in my case, from Berlin, also because I turned vegan here and understood a lot of things about this city and about this country. And this is my ethical aspect of upcycling. About the economic thing, I have to be honest, was like a challenge because when I arrived here, I arrived with another two, my personal label. And the challenge was, okay, it's possible, I asked to myself, it's possible to create something, invested just your experience, creativity, but without money? This was my experiment. Apparently, yes, because I'm here after 7 years. I just thought about, okay, which way is possible to do? And my idea was, okay, maybe we can use denim because denim is possible to find everywhere. Pairs of jeans you can find in Germany, you can find in Tokyo, in Paris. Also because my idea was not to stay in Berlin too long. And I just made 5 pieces in the beginning because for me was strong enough my idea. And I presented to Paris and then it was okay. The process was I went to the few markets and charity store, I collected denim, then I divided for each colors. Then I deconstructed them, sanitized, iron, and rebuilding as a tiles of a mosaic in patchwork method. This was 7 years ago, 2015, when I started with my label. And here we'll write another point, and for me it's important. The last one is the artistic point and the aesthetic point in upcycling. For me, it's really important, the design, because, maybe because I'm Italian, I don't know. For me, it's important. Upcycling for me is not just green or sustainable, but have to be also, of course, beautiful and cool. So as I said, I did study in fine art school, and for me I was really fan of Marcel Duchamp. Marcel Duchamp is the artist that invented the ready-made. And if you are here to speak about upcycling in fashion, just because Marcel Duchamp made it the ready-made before. It was also Picasso that used collage, but we can say ready-made. And another artist that inspired me a lot was Sonia Delaunay. Sonia Delaunay was this artist from 20s. Then Orphism, Madonna, don't say, no, I don't have it in English. Okay, she was an artist, and in the 20s in Paris, she started to use for her artworks upcycling fabrics. And she was the first artist maybe that used a dress like a piece of art. And this was in patchwork. Of course, inspired me a lot for my job and for my work. That's are the three ingredients for me, for my brand, and this is meaning for me upcycling, ethical, aesthetic, and economic.
Thank you so much. So yes, the ethic, it came also because you saw all this waste, you saw all these things happening in
Yeah,
the
this for
industry.
me was a first experience, not because now we can speak about upcycling everywhere. When I presented my first collection in Paris, it was 2015. The people was disgusting also to touch my stuff because I use reused material.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I can write a book in the future maybe, but in 7-6 years it's changed a lot.
Yes, it's incredible how things have changed. But maybe, Daniel, you can tell us more about this because you have been doing upcycling since 2006. So how did it happen that you became an upcycling designer?
Oh yeah, that's always so loud. That's a long story. I try to give you the short version. So I started as a little intern. I made an internship at a company who is producing workwear. And because I'm a very curious guy, I saw in the backyard or Hof or yeah, I saw containers, and I said to myself, okay, I have to check what's inside these containers. I was and I felt like a little gangster, so I opened these containers, and this was the moment, this like open sesame moment, yeah, and I saw tons of or mountains of old workwear. And yeah, this was the magic moment where I said, okay, I have to save this stuff. Yeah, and then I began to collect all these workwear in my little room. So I had, yeah, I need maybe two weeks to collect 2 tons of it. As you can imagine, in one container fits maybe 10 tons. Yeah, so I was really like an insect who's I don't know, moving big heavy things from A to B. And then I start to experiment with these materials. This was in 2005, while I was still studying, and so I tried out what's possible with these materials, and maybe for 1 year. And then I said, okay, I have something like a little collection, and now I jump into the cold water and founding my brand and going to the first fair. Yeah, and this was quite successful. So yeah, and since then I do that.
Amazing. So I see in what you tell us and what Andrea tells us is that first you saw this problem, let's say, and you're...
No, I don't. Yeah, for sure. We all know about the problems what the fashion industry has. But the first idea was okay. That's amount of potential, not problem.
Yes.
The problems came later. Yes.
Okay, yes. When you try to find a brand. No, because I tend to think that we upcyclers are kind of very optimistic people that we see the problem and we want to, like, no, I can solve it, you know, I can solve it. And it's a kind of a way of being. I think it's a connection between all of us that we say, okay, I grab this and I can make something better with this, no? It's a kind of optimistic approach.
Sure, but for me, my, how can I say, I'm always working or designing in the first step, okay, what do I need? Yeah. Okay, I want a new jacket, or I want new pants, or whatever, and this is the way how I started to, and then, of course, for me, it's very important that I can do a little series, that I have enough material to produce. I don't know, maybe I can do 100 jackets of this.
Yeah, so you saw the amount, and you thought
the amount is
like,
important to me,
exactly.
and
you thought like
that
efficiently.
I'm kind of scalable, you know.
I understand.
Otherwise, everything would stop into the totally unique piece, what I love and what I love to do, but not that good for business.
I understand. So this is great because we have like two different approach. I think you're more about creating unique pieces, Andrea.
My case, no, my cases are not unique.
Well,
also unique pieces.
You talk about art and the uniqueness of...
Yeah, but I will try to explain also later. Also, maybe specify.
Yes, we go back later.
Yes, I will explain.
So we go the round, and Arianna, you are the next, of course. And yes, so of the many projects that you work in, or for, or I don't know, or you have created yourself. I think you're an entrepreneur, I think. And this, the one that I was interested to talk about is Again Guide now, that it's not so long ago that you launched it. So maybe you can explain us a little bit more. And also I like this word that you have, this hashtag. Maybe you can say something about that.
Textilretta.
Textilretta. Or textile saver. How would you...
Textile rescue. But we just use it in German, actually. Yeah, so the Again Guide is a platform that we've been launching in March during Fashion Week for all Berliners. We actually got fundings through the Senatsverwaltung, so Environmental Senat and Economic Senat from Berlin to create this project. Behind the project is the NGO Circular Berlin and the social business Look. So we teamed up and we created this platform for all Berliners to know what are the best options in this city to prolong the life of their clothes. So is a website, and on the website you can find a mapping of kind of an ecosystem of repairing, reselling, upcycling, and so on, of all these possibilities of all these businesses. You can filter the options if you're looking for a special service, but also you can use our guide tool, which is kind of a gamificated, digitalized survey or like questionnaire you go through as user, and you give information about what kind of clothes you have and you do not want to wear anymore, you can't wear anymore, and you give some information also about the quantities, which brand is from, and what is the reason why you cannot wear it, or you want to give it away. And at the end of this questionnaire, actually the guide is telling you a personalized option, or personalized options, depending on what you clicked. And that's also to facilitate or help citizens in this city to easily find a solution for their unwanted clothes, or clothes they have to repair and they do not know where. And yes, I have some flyers with me I will give you later, so
yes,
you can try it
amazing.
out.
And how is the, okay, you can give the flyers and we can see there, but it's Again Guide.
Is a-gain.guide. Yeah.
.guide.
The website. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. I was trying it and I discovered things like around my block that I didn't know.
Yes.
So it's great. And also you have this word Textilrette, and I like that because you put like under one umbrella a lot of different ways of upcycling. Would you say that they are all like, because there are different services? So I saw that you have upcycling as a particular service that, for instance, is separated from repairing. And so how is the way that you consider upcycling in the system there in the?
Yeah, so actually the stakeholders, like the places, the shops, the businesses on the map, they are more than 1,500. Most of them, they registered themselves, so they had to choose themselves which category of service they are. And then they had the possibility also to specify which kind of services they give. Yes, so the upcycling designer, they call themselves upcycling designer, but some of them also they give repairing, like they offer repairing services. So there's both. But there's also like Änderungsschneidereien, so alteration shops. They offer also upcycling services. So you can find different kind of options. You have to look a little bit through it. We have in Berlin more than 35 upcycling designers offering collections and services, so it's already like a big number. But we have around 700 Änderungsschneidereien, alteration shops, which is crazy number, I think. 700,
Wow.
yeah. And I don't tell you about like shoe and leather shops, repairing shops. So it's a very big ecosystem, and it's an ecosystem that needs more visibility, because is of course also this forgotten ecosystem is like repairing is not something that we do on a like daily basis. That of course it's cheaper to buy new clothes than like fast fashion new clothes than repairing your clothes. Many clothes are not repairable anymore, and so like all this ecosystem is actually still in a kind of low income like society level, and we actually should uplift all these professions because they're very skilled people, and we need to make it more fashionable to repair, to upcycle, to remake, to reinvent clothes. But also, of course, for many people, they do not even know where to donate clothes. And that's also something that is very important to make visible.
I also saw that places where you can donate are on the map. Also, that's amazing. Yeah, I think it's a very practical tool. And for me, for instance, it's great. I'm also there, but also when people come to me and ask me, do you do this? Like, can you alter this? And I'm like, I go to Again Guide and I say, like, no, you will find it there. So Thank you so much. Because this is giving me a solution. And I'm telling people where to look for something, no? So yeah, I think it's very practical and it's a great idea. And we come to the next great idea, which is the circular sweater project. And tell us a little bit more about it. And yes, I think you're going to be the expert for circular fashion tonight. So maybe you can also tell us what is circular fashion.
Sure. So I'll start with the circular sweater project, what it is.
Yes.
It basically came out of my first little brand that we were looking for plain sweaters, which the brand also has all the sustainability values. It's zero waste, it is biodegradable, it's vegan, it's all of the hand dyed, like all the clothes are plant dyed and hand dyed. And we were looking for, in German we say 0815, like just the normal sweaters, sweatshirts, hoodies, things like this, that are according to the values that we're working with. So we were looking for someone who does that, and to buy those sweaters and then dye them, plant dye them. And it was super hard to find. Like, there were like some values that we could find, but we couldn't find the whole package. And then we're like, okay, let's do it ourselves. And this developed into a whole project that was supported by Impact Hub, and we went through a whole process of really making it something very precise, that we want to, well, it's kind of like an adventure of exploration to understand how circularity can really work and how to really take care of a product that you bring out into the world. That it's not just something that you produce and then let's see who buys it, let's see what they do with it, but that it's part of the whole design process from beginning to end, and there's never an end. And if there's an end, then in this case, in our case, we want it to be biodegradable. And also the biodegradability makes it very easy to recycle and to upcycle also. So this is kind of the aim, to really have a circular product, to take care of all the different stages and really explore all the different stages that a customer could be in, that a person that's producing could be in, that a person that is wearing the sweater, like the third generation of sweaters, because the cycle that we're creating is, first of all, to upcycle and recycle, well, first of all, upcycle the sweaters that come back. We have an integrated system with circular fashion, some of you may know, that holds an RFID code inside so that we can make sure that the sweaters come back to us so that we can take care of them as a brand, take responsibility for the things that we put out. And then if upcycling, recycling is not possible anymore, we take them, or through circular fashion, they're taken to shredding mill, and then new sweaters are made out of the fibers, and the new sweaters, let's see how many %, but hopefully a big amount of recycled cotton, organic cotton, will go into the next generations.
So you produce like your own products, but you can, what I saw, you can also work together with companies, with other companies that they want to start producing circular, so you will help them making these products,
yes.
right?
Yes. So the idea is to have a product like this boostable product, or a product that we all have in our closet, let's say, and show a way how it can be possible. And of course, there's many different ways to do that. And yeah, so we want the sweater to be kind of like here, this is how you can do it, and then let's talk about your version.
And you are incorporating upcycling in the circle, in your version of circularity.
Yes.
And in which particular way?
So this,
You collaborate with upcycling brands.
Yes. We're in the process of understanding exactly how we want to do it. We have now our second testing production, and the first real production, well, the first, bigger production, let's say, will come this summer. There will be a crowdfunding.
For advice, we're all advised.
And also, where was I? There will be a crowdfunding.
And you have the upcycling in
yes.
the system.
So we're right now in the process of understanding exactly how to do that, and also, for example, do collaborations like with a game guide, like just have a lot of collaborations, which I believe it's a big part of circular fashion, circular textiles in general, and sustainability, to help all one another to get to where we want to get. And I think this is why we're together here as well today.
Totally.
So part of that is collaboration. Another part is that we're in the process of understanding how we can bring our own production site, circular production site in place, that also other brands can produce circularly, because it's super hard to find production sites that produce circularly and even know what that means. And like we just had just one thing, and we're talking so much with the production site. They ran out of thread, and they just ordered another thread without talking to us. So things like this, they happen all the time. And even though the production site is open and everything, right? So we're in the process of, with Land Brandenburg, to understand maybe how we can do that and bring a center there. Also to do that here.
Amazing. So yes, I want to come back to this idea of the collaboration and having upcycling inside of a bigger circle, of a bigger system, and this mentality of systems that we have to change, that you know so much about. But I wanted now to ask again, Andrea. I have another question for you, and it's very specific about being an upcycling designer in Berlin. I have my own experience. I want to know yours. What do you think that are the advantages and the struggles that you have?
In upcycling.
Yes, and what do you do in your specific?
Yeah, I speak just about myself because I have just my experience. The first point for me was is the material, of course. When you work with upcycling materials, you are limited when you have to create your collection. And just for that, I decided, as I said, to use denim, because denim you can find everywhere. Sometimes I create also unique pieces with something that I can find, okay, some strange way. But my idea was, when I start to have a brand where it was possible to order everything. So, for example, if you go in my online shop online, my buyers, my customer, they can buy the same jacket. Of course, it's a unique piece because it's impossible to make another one identical, but you can receive another one similar. You can order also 20. It will come. You can receive 20. You will receive 20 jackets really similar. You can choose the color if you want this model: black, blue, light blue, dark blue, pink, and you can choose the model, the size. You can choose model size and color. You can also write me directly if you want if you want to customize something, if you want to have this one on measures. So I have a directly contact with my customer. And this is so I invented this way. Then is between from a normal upcycling brand and usually works with unique pieces and a normal company. This was helped me a lot. Also, when I have to present my collection in a normal fair exhibition, normal for the normal brand. Usually, I'm the only one. Then it's just completely upcycling, 100% zero waste upcycling. And so I think the limit is just the material. Sometimes I have a friend of mine from, they have a really big vintage storage, and they call me and they say to me, okay, I have a box full of parachutes, I have a box full of football scarves, tote bags, and then I start with create my mood board, my collection, and I will make collection with this material. But sometimes are rare, and I have also there in the limits. But my core is denim, and denim you can find everywhere.
So what you say is the thing of the material, like finding the right material that you want to work with in the right amount, that is a problem. Do you think you have that in Berlin is easier than if you were in other places, or?
No, I think it's the same. If I stay here, if I can find some material, I use my creativity will come after the material. If I stay here, if somebody told me, okay, I have I don't know, a box full of I don't know what, I can create collection of this material. But, it doesn't change where, I think, for me. Okay. Because
there is too much denim in the world.
Yes, I'm lucky, and but also I don't know, I use also dead stock sometimes. I use everything that is possible to find enough. And sometimes when I love to create also unique piece, especially as I said, especially for dancer or for theater, whatever is possible to use. I think for usually I thought, and usually for a lot of upcycling brand, the limit is just the material. I think this is I don't know, not to be a limit, because you can invent and you can try a solution, because the world is full of material. And there are a lot of ways to work with that.
Yes. So the thing is not getting too comfortable with one material and always being open to experiment and try different
I tried.
possibilities.
Yeah, I tried with different.
That's-
But I think this maybe is.
Yes. And Daniel, because I think you're the most experienced upcycling designer that I know in person at least, do you think things have changed since you started until now? For good or for bad?
Yes. So I think that the society starts to think about or think more about ecological or sustainability and upcycling and also big companies start to go new ways.
Yes, and this...
And this was not like this at the beginning. Yeah, so this is a big change, yes, but it's still a lot of work.
Yes, it is. And but yes, you're right. That's, I think, and I have the feeling that that didn't happen a long time ago. That is just happening now, actually. What do you think?
So yeah, so during COVID, I would say a lot of companies changed their minds and starts. I mean, of course, for a lot of companies, it's like a marketing tool, or it's greenwashing, as we know. But it's better than nothing, yeah. And to get into a lot of during the whole society, yeah. That so, for example, I was since 2 years really getting asked from big companies to do projects for them or to design new upcycled products with their materials, what they have. And so, since 2 years I'm working more on those projects with other companies than designing or producing my own collection.
Yeah, this is great, I think. This is, I always think about that, like how can we, like one of the aims of making this event is to make upcycling visible, right? That we have some visibility and some media come and visit the pop-up and write about us, and we manage to connect with companies, with people that is searching for what we offer. So I think this is a good point, an interesting point, and probably also like something to have in mind for upcycling designers to try to work, to find the ways of connecting with companies and work for them. What would be your advice for somebody that is thinking about starting an upcycling brand now, or a project related to upcycling? Difficult one.
Yeah, I mean that's that is different from
In
one
30
person
seconds.
from
In 30
one person to the other. I just can say that that we have to design good products, and I love the Langzeitprodukt. I love the word. There's no English word for it. Langzeitprodukt. Just design products with a long life, and that people can enjoy. And this is one of the biggest messages I can spread out to all the young designers out there.
Yeah, I love this.
But if you have questions, just give me a beer and I will answer.
a longer version of
A longer version.
Yeah. Okay. And so another idea. I'm of course always thinking about ideas. How can we have a bigger impact? And I think another way would be offering, like thinking of our work as service and not as a product only. And what I think, Arianna, you have experience, or you are in touch with many people offering services in the area of upcycling, and I don't know if you can already measure what the public is searching for mostly, but what would you say that we should offer, or we can offer as upcycling designers as a service?
Yeah, it very much depends what the designer want to do, because not all designers actually want to do repairing. I've been, during Fashion Week, there was one talk with this Berlin designer, Melissa Minka, and she's also offering like transformation in old clothes, but also she said it's not like the process like an Änderungsschneiderei and an alteration shop would do. No, I would repair, I can repair like very creatively, but then you have like to buy my design kind of. No, it's more like a design process. So I think really like something that is new in this space is what Daniel was talking about, like offering services to bigger companies, because of course that of upcycling is a skill. You have to have, you start from a material that is already limited, that is inspiring you, but also you have to be very smart in the way you wash it, cut it, repair it, maybe also before like putting into collection. So I guess like this is it's an important skill that will be more and more requested by big fashion houses and companies. It is already like many luxury labels. They are doing upcycling projects and they're looking at ways to reduce their own waste. And many are looking for collaborations. And this is going to be like in the short future, of course, like we have European legislations coming in a couple of years, brands and shops as well. They won't be able or won't allowed to just eliminate the surplus, like the unsold clothes. So everything what is overproduced, it's going to, they need to find a solution for this. And I think that of upcycling, of rework, products, it's a very good option that they have, and they will of course use it, and they need like upcycling design minds for that. So this is something I feel in the short term is a good solution for designers that want to offer this service. On the long term, of course, we are going to have consumers that value more the clothes they wear. They value also like, or they are ready to pay more for repairing, for upcycling services, for keeping longer in life their clothes. But this will take longer. I don't see like really governments, politics putting money into like the creation of campaigns for changing this culture of fashion consumption that we have. So yeah, for me it's like in the short term, like working with companies is a very good solution. Also to have maybe more Standbeine, how you say, like different like businesses that makes a stability, all in all. And then on the long term, of course, offering these kind of services will be now like can become a good business, but not yet.
Yes, I was reading this article in the Sustainable Fashion Forum. I think it was very good. It was about repairs, and the point was that there has been a lot of it's a lot of talking and happening in the way of reselling clothes, even renting clothes, but no, it's not so much about the repairs. Nobody's really talking about that so much and investing so much about that. And yeah, that's another article that I read, and I said, yes, we have to do more upcycling events. We have to talk about this, because this is definitely for the circle. We are part of it, right? Upcycling, repairs, Änderungen. Or,
and especially as an upcycling brand or designer, you have your community, you know, you have your community of customers that know your style, love your style. So yeah, in this sense, I think like offering them also to repair other clothes that maybe are not, you know, like of your own brand is a good, a good option. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also noticed the interest in workshops. Like people is really like asking constantly, like when you are offering the next workshop, because people wants to learn. Like I mean, me definitely, but I think many people wants to feel that they are part, that they are involved, and they want to see behind, and they want to understand, and they want to learn. And yes, this is, I think this is another thing, no? Like offering workshops and teaching and education, I would say. This is a big part of our work. No?
Yeah, definitely also very rewarding as a designer when
Yes.
you can teach something and the people then...
Yes. So in this event, we organized 3 workshops. I'm not making publicity because they are already fully booked, but I have to say in less than 24 hours they were fully booked. Wow. So that was another like a thermometer for me, and I have seen that before already when we did something like online, live. Every time that I post a process and people is really interested, so yes, it's amazing, and it's a great opportunity to connect with people and to connect people.
Yeah.
And to have a more human approach to fashion, I think. So the last directed question for Hannah will be this. It's like a technical question. If I have an upcycling brand, can I say that I am circular? It's like a philosophical question.
It's a nice question. I think it depends on what kind of brand you're making, what kind of brand you are, what kind of clothes you're making. In general, the difference I would say is that, first of all, upcycling, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're taking care of the whole entire life cycle of the clothing, meaning from production to what happens when it's being washed, when it needs to be repaired, when the person doesn't want to wear it anymore. It doesn't necessarily mean that. So the upcycling is like the stage where I'm doing something with materials that are there, and the circular approach, it can be integrated, of course, into that upcycling approach. And the upcycling approach can be integrated into the circular approach too. Like, I think the difference is really, not the difference, like they add to one another, like the really holistic way of thinking, producing, consuming.
Yes, so what happens after, once I sold the piece, like trying to take care of that and trying to make the buyer bring it back to repair or to like, to resell it with us or whatever, to change it.
Like, maybe I can add one more thing. One of the things that we always had in mind when we were starting the Circular Sweater Project was, how can we bring sweaters into the world that people will treasure, people will honor as much as we always had this Opinel knife. Somebody knows it's a knife that it's being given from one generation to the next, and the more that it's being passed on, the more value it gets, because there's people that were using it previous generations, and then you're using it, you can see it on the wood, and you can feel it. And we always had this example in mind: how can we make this happen for clothing? Because in clothing, it's not being done. Like, we just treat clothing like it's just trash. And so this is I think for us, really much part of the approach, of the upcycling approach, of
it's like
circular approach.
Yes, like you said, like holistic or more organic way of thinking, and not linear, as opposite to linear. Well, I had like too many questions, but I'm gonna be like closing now. I will have like one general question, because I also I also think a lot about the environment. When I think when I started here in Berlin because for me it was like the obvious thing to do. There was so many clothes on the street, and it was the obvious, I say, because it was something that I was always doing in my family. Like my two grandmas were seamstresses, and they were always upcycling, like changing the clothes from my older sister for me, and that went on, and it's still happening. Where I come from, I'm from Argentina, but also I am from a small city, and in the 90s, when I was a kid, that was the usual thing, right? Like you inherited something from your older sister, and your grandma or your mother were like making it smaller for you. So logic. And then I came here and I saw so much clothes lying around on the flea markets, and I was like amazed. And so yes, that's I think the environment, of course, every person reacts different, no? But in my case, that was the logic thing to do. I have to do something with that. I have to rework that, and maybe I can make a living out of that. That was the second part, no? Thinking like making money out of it. That was another level. But do you think that Berlin is? Would you say that it's like a hot spot for upcycling? That it's in Europe? Is it like that? Do you have that feeling? Sometimes I have it, sometimes not. But I don't know what you think.
Absolutely, yes. I think yes. So we have many upcycling designers, but we have like this upcycling tradition. So I used to have a long tradition since 2006. And it's really like, yeah, it's I used to run a shop together with the team. It was called the Upcycling Fashion Store, and we had it for 5 years between 2011 until 2017, something like that. And it was like crazy how this movement grew. No? At the beginning, we had 3 brands in 2011. One was Daniel's brand, one was our own brand, and then one brand from Wien. We had in Milch. Later. Yeah. At the beginning, we started with these 3 labels that were people we met at fairs, and we really liked, and we started like that, and was like an experiment, and people would come in the shop and say, "Oh, are you selling bikes? Where are the bikes?" Because of cycling and the word upcycling, so they would not even recognize the fashion store. So there was no understanding of this term, and also it was very hard, and we had like to inform them a lot. So we didn't sell much. We were talking a lot, but didn't sell much at the time. And I see now, like seeing so many upcycling collection in a space like this, so central in Berlin. I also give these green fashion tours, and I started also 5-6 years ago with these. We were like giving tours in Wedding, in Neukölln, but not in Mitte. And now most of our tours are in Mitte, because most of the concept stores, like a big number of stores like these, with local designers, with more sustainable collections, they are in Mitte. They can afford to pay these rents, and this is a sign that, of course, there's also an audience for that, and there's a big audience for upcycling in this city, because it's a very creative city, and upcycling is a concept for people coming from creative industries, for architects, for, like actors. And so, yes, this city is definitely very, has the right public. So for me, definitely is open-minded, is a city that has also the money to pay for unique pieces, because we have also to say that, of course, upcycling is a longer design process than a normal, I buy fabric, I cut and make the collection I want, the pieces I want. Is really takes a lot of time to collect the material, and then to wash it, to cut it, to do all the work. And what is missing from this city, this last point for me, is, and I really believed I will see this happening, but not yet, but I hope soon, is a manufactory for upcycling, because this is a big obstacle for upcycling designers who want to scale up. They cannot scale up their productions because it is so unique and so like difficult, you know, like this process. You need like manufacturers that are specialized in upcycling, that also can understand it's not only about patchworking, it's patchworking with like a design mind, and this would help upcycling designer in becoming bigger, like bigger brands, and making, of course, also the products a little bit cheaper, still keeping like the quality and the locality of the products. So if somebody out there wants to start an upcycling manufacturing, I'm in.
No, it's good that you of course that's what was where we met, and also where I discovered Daniel in the upcycling fashion store, and I always think about the upcycling fashion store, and I think, how is it possible that there is not such a place today in Berlin? And if there's somebody there that wants to collaborate with me in creating that space, that's also the idea behind this pop-up and this event. Because here we have only 21, and we had to make a selection, but there was a lot more people applying to be part, and amazing stuff. And from my perspective, I don't know what you think, like as upcycling designers, I think what is missing is the connection between us, possibilities to network, to, yes, and maybe a space where we could have machines and you know, like work there, I don't know, rent and work there per hour, I don't know, something that will be like a solution and also a place to connect. There was also, back in the days, you were also organizing the textile Stammtisch, so the round table, and this is something that I also think it's missing, like yeah, events where we can meet and connect, and because of course probably due to the pandemic it got worse, that we were at home or in our ateliers just talking with the sewing machine, no? Right? Like I have the feeling that I have been 2 years talking with my sewing machine.
But there's actually this space, like with the Stadtmission, they have this Stadtmission Alexanderplatz, with the House of the Materialisierung, but also in Alexa they have like labs for designers who want to use machines. This is also true. Interesting for
yes, this is an interesting place, and also they brought the material pool here sometimes a week, I think on Tuesdays. It's not only in the Stockower Straße, but also happening there. So many things interesting are happening there. It's true now. So yes, this was the idea behind this event, to see each other in person, face to face, and also to be able to see the creations of these people in Berlin doing amazing work, and not only seeing it on Instagram scrolling, but seeing it in real life. For me, personally, it is like, okay, I'm going through the different designers and checking how they solve problems in different ways that I solve the problems. And this is magic for me as working like from this side of the, of the shop, let's say. But I hope it was also interesting for you. We are staying here a few more minutes. We can chat, but we have to end the talk here, of course. Yes, and thank you so much for coming. I hope this opened some ideas in your minds and triggered questions, because the idea was not to answer all the questions, but also to open questions. And to connect and to support and to make upcycling visible. I think upcycling needs to be more visible, because I think it's a honest side of fashion. It's a very honest side of fashion, and the more we see the honest side, the more we can recognize the dishonest in fashion. So I think we need to be more in touch with it. So thank you so much for coming. And yeah, we stay around a little bit more. Thank you. Well, I was What do you think, Sabine?
About what?
About having questions?
Yes, I think it's okay.
Yeah?
So if you have a question,
Okay. If somebody has a question, yeah, I think it's nice that we can have a few more minutes for questions.
okay, let's say about 50 minutes.
Okay, that's a lot. No questions. Yes, here.
Thank you very much. It was very interesting. I have a question which I'm sure you ask yourselves, but and which you've kind of touched upon. But is there any way that these ideas can really be transformed for a mass market, which has all these kind of economies of scale and you know, not only sort of how things are produced, but that certain parts of, you know, a pair of jeans is made in so many different parts of the world because everything is sort of based on its economic, optimizing it economically. So, and as you've mentioned, like some of these sort of more niche products are quite expensive. So, can you imagine in any kind of model where these ideas could be transformed to a mass market, and also in terms of style? You know, because the kind of things that we see are quite a specific kind of style. You know, not really mass market, but quite special, quite niche.
I think we have no other chance to recycle and upcycle because of the resources we have here. And so we need other solutions, yeah, and not, I mean, okay, we are specialists in fashion, but we also need other solutions in, I don't know, in apartments, in cars, in public transport, in everything. So, I think yes, there's there's a big chance to get into the mass production, yeah, because we don't have another chance. As you know, maybe for a new pair of jeans, you need I don't know 8,000 of liters of water, yeah. So and yeah, this is, so we need to be more sustainable. That's it.
This would be also my main point, that I think one of the main things, and this is what you're also doing with the Yen Guide, is to change the consumption habits. We cannot continue like this. Like, there's no way that we can actually do that if we don't want to go extinct. So I think it's really like we need to think about ways to get there. And like for the sweater that we're doing, it's not upcycled from the beginning, but it's like working with materials that are renewable and recyclable and all of that, so that it can go into larger markets. So in this way, and then the upcycling that comes after, we're looking into how to create like different options of like the different tastes for people, that someone will love a big patch and someone will like the invisible mending that our grandmas, maybe some grandpas used to do. And like just to offer different styles, I think also.
This question I also get many times about like how would you scale your business? And I think it doesn't depend only on me. That's the thing. It depends on many things, and I think these things are happening because I think one main thing is regulations. I think things are not going to change in a bigger scale without regulation. Like if companies are allowed to produce fast fashion in the pace that they're doing it now, it's continue allowed to do that, and burn the things that you didn't sell. So nothing is going to change, you know, because things are going to be there on the high street. Those things are on the high street, and people still buying them, you know. So it depends on many different factors, I think. But you have different people there. There is people that don't want to produce massive, you know, that prefer to stay in the niche, and that's also good. I think everything is good. I think everything is necessary as long as it respects the resources, the environment, and the people working behind. I don't think growth is always the aim. It's not, definitely not my aim. Growth in the traditional way of thinking growth.
I think it just comes to my mind. I think another important aspect, and I think that this is what you were also mentioning about the denim, that it exists everywhere. Like to think locally and globally. Like, what do I have in this place, and how can I create something here, and what do I have in that place? And there's also the open source movement, very big in that, like to reproduce things that work in a certain place, in another place, in a similar way that works in that place. Differently, but similarly.
Yes, but locally, yes.
But locally and globally.
Yes, thank you so much. That's a good question. Yeah. I think I cannot make it there.
First of all, thank you very much for this amazing talk. And during this, I wrote down a question. So what do you think about the future of upcycling for luxury fashion? Because 2 years ago, I visited a recycling factory, Schorch, in Germany, and I saw how old Chanel shoes are getting destroyed and not recycled so that no one else gets it due to the brand's policy stay in luxury. So do you think it is possible to change this luxury brand's perception in the future, in the nearest future?
I have a very bold opinion about that, if I may say it. I think if they are destroying things, that's not luxury. I think like we have to rethink what luxury means, because the way these brands work, it's luxury is about scarcity. It's about the less people can buy it, the highest the price, and that's not luxury. Luxury is this. For me, I think we have to change the perspective of what luxury is. I think they have to change the perspective. I think there is this notion of sustainable luxury, and that makes sense. I think the only way luxury should exist is in a sustainable way. Oh, I don't know what you think.
I think it's not only like about luxury brands. I've been working in textile waste mappings and textile waste management strategies for factories in Pakistan, working with denim, for instance. And like even the brands, like the ones that you would say, oh, they're very sustainable, they bring on the market the most sustainable jeans, the most sustainable denim, all these claims, they still have contracts with these manufacturers that they are not supposed to sell to the secondary market the leftovers of their productions. So like the textiles that are leftovers after the cutting. And yes, so you see like the problem is really like even in the, just really understanding of the brands and what is sustainability, and also in a very old structured kind of workflow where contracts were made maybe already 15 years ago and never changed. And they, so the brands need to change a lot of people in a lot of different key points in order to be able to have like this really holistic transformation in the industry. And so I don't think that's only like a luxury brand's problem, but yeah, it's all over. Yeah.
So do we have another question or comment? Or we make it with the beer after? No, I don't see any hand. Yes. Okay. Yes. Are there students here, like fashion students or yes, art students, students in general? Okay. And designers, like upcycling designers in the public? Yes, a few more. Not colleagues. Okay, so when I don't see any more questions, so thank you so much again for coming. And and now, do you have questions? Okay, guys. So thank you so much. Also for respecting the people working here. So.